acrimonious split and wave of anger against Volodymyr Zelensky in Ukraine, the war started because the incompetent person was elected president. While the war in Ukraine continues, political life boils again. The political climate against Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is weighing, with the opposition raising a banner for the overthrow of the current treaty. According to what the Ukrainian news agency Strana reports, the former Ukrainian head of the state, Petro Poroshenko, is raising his voice to an unprecedented level. Permanent chorus: the war started because the incompetent Zelensky was elected president, Poroshenko said. So, as it is easy to see, in the middle of the war, the Ukrainian political life is boiling, with the opposition asking for elections. It's noted that the elections are expected in October, but they cannot be held since the country is under martial law. In any case, the election campaign has already begun, with Petro Poroshenko throwing down the gauntlet. It's recalled that the elections under normal conditions would have been held last April. In other words, Zelensky has already completed 4 years in power, having defeated then-President Poroshenko by garnering 73.22% of the vote in the second round of the presidential election. Of course, he promised Ukrainians peace, which he never gave them. Now, however, on the eve of the election, Poroshenko supporters were warning that a possible Zelensky election would bring economic collapse, even full-scale war, opera and event, Strana reports, adding, now Poroshenko supporters have not stopped saying, "We told you so." If Poroshenko had been elected, there would have been no war, the article says. The main trigger for this campaign against Zelensky was an article by the historian political scientist Alexander Zinchenko, published on the website Historical Pravda, part of Ukrainska Pravda, owned by the businessman Tomas Fiala, who has strong ties to Western structures. Zinchenko himself claims that he wrote the article from his soul and not at the request of any political force. However, it was actively promoted online by supporters of Poroshenko. The main idea of the article is that the election of Zelensky brought about the start of a full-scale war. And according to the author, of the three possible election winners, Poroshenko, Tymoshenko, and Zelensky, the current president, Zelensky that is, was the worst choice. Because if Poroshenko won, then Putin would be afraid to attack, according to Poroshenko, because he would clearly understand that with such an opponent, Moscow's victory would not be assured. If Julia Tymoshenko had won, she could somehow negotiate that with Putin thanks to the Gregorian, a reference to Gregorian's real owner, Ivan Zvili, who has shady ties with the Kremlin. She could somehow negotiate with Putin thanks to Georgia. Okay? So there would be no war either. However, Zelensky won, and Putin decided that with such an inexperienced president, Ukraine would become easy prey, hence the war began. The election of Zelensky, sooner or later, meant an escalation of hostilities, Zinchenko wrote. MPs from Poroshenko's party spoke to Strana on the issue. For almost 4 years, there was only one political force in the country. The problem-solving possibilities are limitless, but the problems have increased thousands of times, and most of them were leading to an invasion, said Sofia Fentina, a member of the Euro Solidarity faction, on her Telegram channel. She had capitalized the word led, as if to emphasize that it was Zelensky's mishandling that made the nightmare a reality. It also lists 10 mistakes of the Ukrainian president's team about the war. And the mistakes? Why were FSB agents appointed to the highest position in the security service of Ukraine before the large-scale invasion? Where is the former head of the SBU, Ivan Bakhanov, against whom there are charges for the failures of the intelligence service in the pre-war and initial period of the war, but also for the presence of Russian agents in its structure, in particular Oleg Kulinich, suspected of treason and former head of the Crimean Department. On July 19, Bakhanov was relieved of his duties as head of the SBU, and after his dismissal, he carefully avoided the public eye, Well, there were rumors that he had fled abroad, but the Ukrainian authorities denied this. Bakhanov was once said to be under investigation, but this was not confirmed by the State Bureau of Investigation. And despite the fact that Zelensky himself demanded the resignation of Bakhanov after the SBI, an agency also controlled by the president, revealed the work of Oleg Kulinik, who was close to the former head of the SBU department in Autonomous Republic of Crimea, there are dark spots, says Strana. Yuri Butusov, editor-in-chief of Censor.net, spoke about this issue. He said, before the invasion, Russia had a full control of SBU, with the exception of the counterintelligence section, and gained access to all our state's secrets. And all this thanks to President Zelensky's decrees. I hope that the president would admit it himself, that he would admit that he was deceived, that he was lied to, whatever he believed. It was necessary to shed ample light on the case and to bring traitors to justice. But Zelensky chose a path of silence, the path of lies and shame. The president's silence in the case of the handover of the SBU to the FSB of the Russian Federation shows that this was not his fault, but was done deliberately, and even every opportunity should be taken to force President Zelensky to answer. However much he wants to save himself and his accomplices, disclaiming responsibility, because no one will forgive him these rivers of blood. The editor-in-chief of Censor.net is considered close to former National Security and Defense Council Secretary Alexander Turchinov, who heads the headquarters of Poroshenko's Euro Solidarity Party. It's worth adding that the video of Butusov's accusations against Zelensky was also released as an advertisement on YouTube. In general, sharp criticism of the country's political leadership from the lips of the opposition and some journalists and activists close to the West subsided only in the first months after Russia's large-scale invasion, and then continued. And the word treason, quote-unquote, is repeated as a refrain, along with accusations of corruption, absolutism, and Bankova's alleged intrigues against the supreme commander of the armed forces of Ukraine, Valery Zaluzny. What Zelensky says? Unofficially, the Zelensky side talks tough. What Poroshenko is doing, he says, is pure treason and the work of an enemy. Of course, the state will react, a source close to the office of the Ukrainian president tells Strana. Now, what that reaction will be, and if it will be at all, is not very clear. However, the issues of internal political struggle will clearly be in the background until the end of the war. Obviously, the development of hostilities will affect the situation in the country, much more than information campaigns. However, if the armed forces of Ukraine achieve some significant success, then all these plans, of course, will go to waste, as the victory will be credited to Zelensky, says political scientist Andrei Zolotarev. And this is from Banking News, and it's I translated for you from a Greek article, so you can see what's going on behind the scenes. We doubt that they're going to have any elections as long as this war is going on. And of course, it's a lot of missing money from U.S. given to the Ukrainian government. The latest reports were $400 million. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.